And we're live. Hello, everybody. I'm very sorry that this happened late. We had some technical issues, purely my fault, simply because, as those of you who've watched this before know, because I had to get no sound on my laptop, I need to listen to people from Discord, and it was very confusing trying to sort out echoes, etc. So I do apologise for being late. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for coming. And if you like this live stream, please click like, share, and subscribe if you haven't, if you want to see more. This is mainly going to be about the Mandela Effect. We're going to talk about some UK Mandela effects tonight. Okay, so first of all, what I'm going to ask is each of the panelists to introduce themselves to you. Many of them have YouTube channels, so they can talk to you about their YouTube channels. I will make sure that everyone's YouTube channel is in my featured channels list on my homepage after this broadcast. We'll be getting more people jumping in and joining us later as some people leave. So stick around. Okay, so without any further ado, fire away, people, one by one, and introduce yourselves.
Go ahead, Lee.
Hey, I'm Lee. I don't know what to say.
All right, who's up next? Magi, how about you?
Hello, everybody. I'm Magi.
Hello, I'm Captain.
Is it me or is it gone quiet?
Okay, I'm sorry, guys and viewers. I'm sure it's fine for you. I just need to remind the panelists that when they are talking through Discord, Magi did do this, you all need to unmute yourselves in Discord. When you're talking on Hangouts, unmute in Discord, because I can't hear what you're saying otherwise. Right. Okay. Well, tonight, we're going to start off with talking about some UK Mandela effects. And I must admit, the ones that I can know about are, for example, the UK flag that has changed. Disintegral, are you aware of that Mandela effect? I need you to unmute on Hangouts as well, please, Discord.
This is going to be a pain in the ass.
Brilliant, thank you.
You know what? It's been so predominantly American culture-based stuff. I don't know that many British ones at all, if any, in fact.
Okay, have you heard of the change to the UK flag?
No, but then, see, I would argue, I don't know, it's no, I haven't.
Okay, well, the UK flag, what has happened is it's now asymmetrical. So you know you've got the different colour lines coming down and up like that in the X shape. Two of them are, if I remember correctly, further away from the centre compared to the other side. So it's now, and there is apparently a reason they did this, apparently, but it really doesn't look like what I remember the UK flag looking like. Does that ring any bells for you?
It looks like a windmill.
A windmill. Yeah.
When I was a kid, I used to like drawing the flag a lot. And I always used to do it symmetrically because that's how I believed it should have been. But later on down the line, I then found out actually it's not symmetrical at all. It's actually got there's lines. Now I don't actually know if that is a Mandela effect or if it's just the fact that I was a kid and I just saw some stripes, and that for me is a very plausible reason why that could be it. So to me, I'm not so sure it's a Mandela effect at all.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. It just doesn't seem familiar to me. So for me, I think it is the Mandela effect. But you could be right. Perhaps I just never looked very closely. I didn't realise. So yeah, that's very true. Do you know, this isn't really a UK one, but it's one of the first ones I remember taking notice of, and this was before I even had ever heard about the Mandela effect. So it is a product well known over here. Febreze. Do you remember how it used to be spelled? Lee?
Sorry, I'm not aware of your format exactly, so I don't know if it was all at me at once or if it was going from person to person.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's fine.
This is the other problem. See, I don't believe the Mandela effect is misremembering. But I do believe that misremembering happens. So this is where we need to be discerning again. With what we would classify as a Mandela effect. So in my personal opinion, I don't remember enough about Febreze because I think I've only ever bought it once or twice. And that was quite recent in the recent history, like in the last 5 years. Before that, I never really paid attention to stuff like that. So difficult to say.
Okay. All right. I distinctly remember that because I remember it was EEZE, and I remember seeing it again and it was EZE, and I know that because I remember saying to a family member, well, when did Febreze change how that it was spelled? You know, we both giggled about it. Okay, for me in the UK, I'm a bit like Lee. I don't really follow new Mandela effects much because to me I already know it's a real phenomenon because I've seen firsthand changes to my own personal reality. So it's not something I really follow much. Occasionally I'll hear about different ones. The things that I've noticed that are specific for England, in my opinion, for example, is the shape of England to me has changed. The southeast of England, the Kent area, to me used to be more rounded. And I remember that changing some years ago as well. I was thinking, well, that's strange. I always used to think it was like more rounded, not sort of square. I've seen changes in my city where I live, in the houses around certain places. I've seen changes occur in my own home and in my garden and to people and family members as well, in memories, etc., compared to mine. So I already know that it's definitely true. I'd be interested to hear from Sab Hoyt. Do you want to introduce to the audience and tell them where you come from and if you know of any regional specific Mandela effects where you're coming from, where you live?
Sapioid, and there is only one highly regional effect, so to speak. The shape of the country I'm in, Romania, has slightly changed. Like, if you look from the top of a map, it looks the same, but on the globe, it shifted towards the north a bit, which actually seems fairly logical since apparently our planet is smaller than it used to be. And this also connects to Australia being Australia being much closer to the rest of the world. That's the only highly regional Mandela effect I know of.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know that. I think I have heard it that the Earth was now smaller, but I wasn't sure about that one. So thanks for that. I mean, I see quite a few changes in Europe with geographical changes, different shapes for countries. Andorra, do you remember, subpoints. Do you remember the country of Andorra in Europe? Is that a Mandela effect for you?
I remember it existing, but only as a name. I was never that good at geography, so I don't remember on the map where it should have been. But yes, the name rings bells. It's not one of those memories which you have but is not linked to anything else. There are other memories related to that memory directly, which make me think that it's closer to a truth than a misremembering. For example, with Pokemon Pikachu, I remember it. I remember watching it in the mornings, and now that I see things in a perspective, I noticed that for a while the tail was in one way, then it for a period it changed and is now different than it was before. So at least three different ways the tail existed as, but the my memories seem to not reflect the reality we are living in, since in this reality, so to speak, for the lack of a better term, in this reality, things have always been one way. And the change after a period of time seems to be in the memories of a lot of people, which again consolidates the strength of the memory, even though the physical reality says otherwise. That's all I have to say.
Well, if I can pick Kin on
Okay.
the
Okay. Sorry about that. Dark Wolf had to jump.
1, 2.
Okay.
Yeah, if I may, real quick, guys, I'm just making a cameo appearance real quick. Hey, I'm going to head home shortly. I'll catch you guys when I get back in studio and jump right back in on this. I appreciate you having me here, Amber. I will return shortly.
Brilliant. Okay, no worries. Speak to you soon. Okay, fire away, Willie. Sorry. Willie, you need to unmute on Hangouts as well, please.
Okay, I did, but yeah, somehow I got muted again. Okay, I'll start over. I'm Willie from Belgium. Hi guys, good evening, good afternoon, whatever. If it comes to Andorra, I drove to Andorra in 1987 for the first time. And it lies in between France and Spain. It's kind of a tax haven for the rich ones. Small mini state. The capital is called Andorra la Vella, means Andorra the old one. And the border is underground. It's like in an underground garage, and really with guards with machine guns and stuff like that. I had to put my husband in between my sandwich to smuggle it through it, but it all worked out. But Andorra was real for me in 1987, and even before that. In school, we were taught about Andorra. Yeah, I experienced it live in '87, and then a couple of times in the '90s whenever I drove to Spain. So, okay, that's what.
Okay. Thank you. That's interesting. Have you got any Mandela effects that are specific to your country or region you'd like to share?
Well, specific to my country, I can't. Yeah, the normal ones, like normal, quote unquote normal, like the Volvo sign changing. I drove a Volvo for 12 years, but I got rid of it before I noticed the ME, and that was around 2014. I started noticing the sun wasn't what it used to be, and the Volkswagen sign, because my initials are VW, and I used the same on my ceramics works a couple of years to sign it, and there was never a dash in between. And well, I don't know if you heard it, but there's a theory about that. Now the Volkswagen sign changed to three V's, and V in how's it called? The Jewish alphabet stands for numbers, the number 6. So the sign says 666 now. That's, well, one of the stories about the Volkswagen changes. And yeah, I've had heaps of changes, but too much to address right now. But if you ask me about one, I can tell you what my memories are.
Yes, please.
Well, yeah, but if you ask me about a certain one, but there are so many,
Oh,
I shouldn't know which one to pick. Well, I had a special personal experience, actually, and together with Pat on back, who isn't here. Sadly enough, she stays offline for a couple of days. She's not feeling too well, and otherwise,
sorry.
yeah, otherwise, yeah, she would love to be here, I guess, to tell the story together with me. She introduced me to a song called "Touched by an Angel" by Sarah McLachlan, and I was listening to it in a couple of days, and every time it, well, really touched my heart. And I remember falling asleep one night with the song, and I woke up the next morning and I put on the song, and it was changed to "Touched by the Angel" instead of "an." And so noticed that. I called Pat, and she noticed it too, and we were like, "Whoa, what's happening here?" And she copied the lyrics, which still were saying "an angel," and when she pasted it, and changed into "the angel." At the same time, she, well, pasted it, and even on YouTube, you still hear "the angel," but it's not the same as when we heard it the first time. It's, well, not as pronounced with "d," but now it's more between "d" and is "angel." But the lyrics, the title of the song still says "an angel." I don't know if anybody else remembers the song. I guess Lee does. Don't you, Lee? Kinda. Yeah, it's not really.
So how did your friend react? Does she believe in the Mandela effect, or did she think it was her memory?
No. She does believe in the Mandela effect. Well, it changed
Okay.
in front of our eyes, so to speak. And yeah. And since then,
Did she believe in it before that happened?
yep.
And that was another affirmation, or was it that incident that
Well, it was
confirmed the
more,
Mandela effect to her?
actually we were discussing about angels and the existence of angels. And well, she's a believer, and I'm more like, yeah, I'm kind of scared of angels. I don't know why, but they kind of creep me out. Might have something to do with have been forced to go to church for a year or 2 years to do communion.
He's making yourself sound like a vampire.
Yeah, but these little angels, they kind of scare me out. And well, actually, one day I was
Okay, but did she?
yeah.
So
Yeah,
did she know prior to that morning about the Mandela effect?
yeah. She's one of the first ones I got to know on Discord.
Okay.
Where I talked about the Emmy next to the
Okay, I'm just
me.
curious.
We can see
I'm
you.
curious simply because. Sorry. Go on.
What was your question, Mel? Sorry, you dropped out.
No, sorry, it's a lag, so it gets we cut over each other sometimes. Okay, so what I'm curious about is I was wondering how many manifestors were present at the time. So that meant, or conscious manifestors. So that meant both you and her were conscious manifestors at the time. And the reason I'm interested will become clear when Darkwolf comes back, because we've got a tale to tell, a tale to tell. That seems consistent with yours in a way, so you'll understand a bit later, and so will the audience.
Well,
So thank you for that.
it was only me and her actually, but it felt like a personal message to me. And afterwards, she had a dream about it even. So yeah, I thought changing from an angel to the angel was another thing pointing to singularity, which many of these effects do. But yeah, it might have been a personal message for me to convince me of the existence of angels, and that were my cats fighting. Sorry for that.
Fighting over the angels.
That's okay. Mine bicker
Yeah,
all the time as well.
my-
Just to the audience, just so you're aware, I'm not ignoring our American panelists who are on a panel at the moment. It's simply that the start of this show, I just wanted to concentrate on the UK and European panelists because, you know, we are underrepresented in the Mandela world.
And time zone.
So I will be bringing in the American panelists who have been on before. Yes, once I've spoken and we've got to know the European ones. So Winnie, you mentioned that you think the change to that angel points to a singularity. Can you clarify that a bit more for me and the audience, please?
Well,
What do you mean by that?
there are many Mandela effects I came across that change from plural to singular. And yeah, it's just a gut feeling, but to my feeling, it points to, yeah, kind of a singularity. And I also see lots of changes on TV. Not that I watch that much, but yeah, these shows are so satanically, I don't know, they all have a satanic vibe. The colors are all changing to red and black. The lyrics, the dances they do, yeah, and I don't know, it's kind of like we're slipping into a satanic world or ruled by Satanists, but and that doesn't mean I believe in something like a person uh, like a devil or whatever you would call him. But yeah.
So, what is your theory, Willie? I just want to ask the other panelists this after you. So, what is your favorite or the theory that you think most likely at this point explains the Mandela effect for you?
Well, the most simple one that could explain it all is that we're a simulation. Like Philip Dick was talking about in his 77 interview in Paris. He's the writer of Blade Runner and Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep and stuff like that. And many of his books are being filmed, or yeah.
What do you mean by simulation? I don't really know what you mean.
Well, that we're kind of living inside of a huge computer simulation.
Oh, a simulation. My apologies.
Yeah, not stimulation.
Okay. And do you think that somebody, then a controller, is deliberately causing the Mandela effect, or do you believe that we've become like a virus in that computer system, a bit like the Matrix?
Well, I don't believe anything anymore except there's no certainty. I used to have so many certainties, and the only one left is that there aren't any. From 1 minute to the next, our reality can change. So, and reality might mean real IT if you pull it apart, the word. And that's something I like to do, play with words, numbers, games like that. So
Okay. All right. Turning to Lee then. Or Disintegral. I'm sorry. I'm not sure which to call you on here. You there, Disintegral?
you have to call him loud, I think.
No, it's just remembering to unmute myself.
Okay. How do you want me to call you on here?
Just call me Lee.
Okay, great. Okay, Lee. Sorry.
It's just fine. I'm don't hide my name.
Okay, guys. Lee runs a YouTube channel, and one of the things that Lee's is like an artist, and he is an artist, and he runs this YouTube channel where he does live streams every day of, he calls them cloud therapy, and he basically films the skies of London every day, and in these videos, live streams, and you're now started cropping them, haven't you, to highlight certain things you see, but you can see some very strange phenomena in these cloud therapy live streams. And I definitely recommend you all check out his channel. It's in my featured channels list. So if you go to my homepage, you'll see down on the right hand side a featured channels list, and Lee's channel's in there. It's called Disintegral. So please go and check it out.
Me.
Yes. Lee, what's your favourite theory at the moment to explain the Mandela effect?
Favorite theory? So out of the blue, I was so ready for the next. I don't know. I'm kind of over it. It gave me the.
Okay, do you want to explain to the audience? If you don't want to answer that one, you're not sure. Do you want to explain to the audience how you became affected, when, and how?
A few things actually. Berenstein Bears, definitely. Berenstein person myself. I don't really see how Stain has ever been. It just makes no sense to me. It's Steen or Stein, but never Stain. What the fuck's that all about? What was it? The interview with a vampire. And I think generally in my life, I've noticed, looking back, quite a number of things. But my issue, I guess, I find is like, where do you separate Mandela Effect from paranormal, or does it come under the paranormal umbrella? So I just kind of, for me, it really just, it's like, it's almost as if it's used as an umbrella term for a lot of other things. And I think the difficulty or the issue is discerning what things are what and giving them the whatever label we normally would prescribe something. But it's like, I don't know how helpful are labels at this point now. Who knows?
Very true. So, point, how did you become aware of the Mandela Effect and when?
It happened quite randomly, actually. I was just watching videos on YouTube randomly, and I just happened to stumble on a Mandela Effect video. I watched it, and at the moment, I didn't pay much attention to it, thinking it was just misremembering combined with regional changes in logos, in names, like how a movie might have a different name in a different country. But then the changes started to become a lot more obvious and out in my face. So I had to accept that it's real. And at the time, I was quite into quantum physics. So it went it was compatible with the mind over matter attempt at explaining the world. Like, the observer creates the observation and shapes the results of the observation. That is how I was introduced to the Mandela Effect.
Interesting. What are the most profound Mandela effects for you? And do you have a favourite theory as to cause?
The most profound, I think, is us now being in the Orion belt instead of the Sagittarius arm in the galaxy, which, if you look at the Mandela Effect maps of the so-called old Earth, we are directly on the other side of the black hole in the middle of the Milky Way. So it's almost impossible for us to directly observe the old Earth, and maybe also impossible to distinguish the radio waves sent throughout the universe by the other planet, since it will interfere with the microwave background noise that the black hole generates. And as for the theory, I think it's something along the lines of, imagine you have 100 people and they decide how to shape reality, shape their reality. Some would be in charge of some parts, others in charge of other parts, and fate would be one of the first layers of abstraction that would decide who has more power, who you are giving more power in your stead, that one has more power. So if we give power to the church can change more of the world and create wonders. If we give power to local witches, they can have that power to change the reality. If we give that power to someone else, I don't know, to science, if we give that power to science, then science will have that power at its disposal. if we give that to ourselves, then we will have more power. It's like we are intermingled, we are shadows of gods as entities, but those shadows are mixed together in a certain way. And in addition to that, we have our own power. And those gods are actually what we give our faith to. Like, some are trying to be wise, others are trying to be smart, others are trying to help others, others are trying to take away from others, and so on and so forth. So we are choosing what to do with the world, and it seems to me that at the moment we don't quite have a good system in place to choose who gets the most power, or who should get the most power. So
Well, that's certainly true. Yeah.
so the power goes randomly to a bit here, a bit there, and so on. And what ends up happening is quite frankly chaos. So if, in my opinion, if we were to try to focus all that power towards at least a goal, or no, towards a goal, or at least avoiding a situation in which we might end up being, then we might get a lot more done as a species. And I think this goes hand in hand with the great filters explanation to the where are the aliens question. Like how how an animal has to have a certain ratio of brain to rest of the body weight in order to be smart enough to have a chance at becoming sentient as humanly understood, like to shape the world around you in ways previously unimaginable. So if one such great filter is having a big enough brain, another one is not living in the trees, another one is having opposable thumbs, at least one, in order to be able to grab things and use tools basically. And the minimum of fingers, so to call them, required for such usage of tools is 3, though humans have 5. The minimum required for 3-dimensional sight is 2 eyes, though I guess 3 or more could be used for a greater field of view, which could have its benefits. We have hearing and smell and taste as another ways to identify the world, because if as the saying goes, if it quacks like a duck, if it looks like a duck and tastes like a duck, it's probably a duck. So we don't only choose how the world exists, but how we choose how the world exists feeds back on us, and in turn changes how we behave, how we think, how we feel, and so on.
Okay, I like how you say about changes how we feel, because form equals function. So, for example, the form of an object will dictate its function, but not only in the physical realm, but also in the etheric realm. So, for me, that's one of the explanations to the changes of our anatomy. That as we are changing in the etheric realm, those changes can't occur unless there are corresponding physiological changes, because our bodies are like an antenna. We draw in energy from our energy environment. I mean, this is about the meridians and the auras and the chakras. And there are specific electrical vortex points that have been found along the spinal cord, corresponding to the placements of the chakras now. So our body absorbs energy, not only via food and drink, but also energy from environment to feed our energy bodies. But our energy bodies can't evolve or change unless there are corresponding physiological changes to accompany that. Because as the energy comes in, it's transmuted or adapted or changed for each energy body. And for me, that's one of the possible explanations for the physiological changes that we've seen. I know Magi, I'll come to you afterwards, Willie. So, sorry, I'll come to you afterwards, Captain. So just to give you some warning to get into Discord. Magi, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Magi, you need to unmute in Discord at the same time, please.
I am. I'm unmuted. Can you guys hear me?
Brilliant, I can hear you now.
Yes.
Great.
Okay.
What
Yeah, it's still not,
you know,
it's still not a little
about the
box
physiological
thing.
changes. What do you think about those?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Mel. Physical ones? Did you ask me about the physical ones? I didn't hear her.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you're breaking up for me in Discord, but carry
It's
on.
okay.
I can hear problems.
Yeah, the physical ones. I would just go clear back to what I thought is a theory.
Yeah, the physical ones.
Yeah, I think after 20 that, I don't really hang on to dates a lot, but I sensed that when it was coming from every angle. The I Ching, the Mayans, I mean, just about everywhere you looked. And I think something did happen. And I think it was a call actually for like-minded people to gather like we are right now. I think that was probably the main thing. And I think, yeah, I see all those things. I see the physical body. On the movie ones, I had ran through a few of those and, wasn't convinced right at first. But when I caught the James Bond one, where the girl no longer has braces at the end, to me, changed the whole concept of the end of that movie. Others did too, but not quite as bad. I mean, that one, to me, I mean, she smiled, he smiled. I remember it very well. I think there was even a little sparkle, and they ran off together, and she no longer has braces. So that does not make any sense to me whatsoever. I think the early stages of an ascension or rebirth or whatever spiritual term you want to use for progressive spiritual awakening. That's about it.
Okay, thanks, Magi. Sorry, just let you know, we're having tech issues again. I can't hear you in Discord. So if you ask me a question, I only know you finished speaking when I see your mute go on Hangouts at the moment. Okay, so I don't know if you asked me a question. So somebody else will have to tell me if you asked me a question. Sorry about this, guys, viewers. Captain, are you there? Okay, brilliant. I
I
can
can-
hear you, but the audience can't. Excellent.
Yes, I got you. I'm here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What was the question? I was having some technical issues myself. I just worked out.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. I know you're having tech issues. What do you think about? I mean, what do you know about the physical changes? Have you got a favorite theory about the Mandela effect?
Yeah, the Mandela Effect. Well, I know I stumbled across it as I was just on my path and searching as I was following the clues laid in my path, and in the spiritual ascension process is what I've learned. I've come to learn to be called. And so on that, I went through some experiences that kind of showed me what this construct possibilities and what it entails. Some of it entails, at least. And so stumbling on the Mandela Effect just kind of reassured me of my experiences. So it was kind of just a confirmation of some of the experiences that I had went through. That I mean, at the time, I already know I went through it, but it's still good to have a confirmation, even just like coming to Discord or coming here and talking to others that have seen these things or been through these similar type of experiences. So I stumbled upon the Mandela Effect, and so it was pretty cool. The Jiffy peanut butter was one of the ones that stuck out to me. The mirror on the wall, uh, the Star Wars. Uh, as well as a few others. I don't remember them all now. But I just thought it was really cool, and I like to hear people talking about it. And like I said previously, I just like to reiterate that not to get stuck on it, not to make Mandela Effect the center of this spiritual experience, because I've come to understand that it's part of this experience. That's what I've the conclusion so far from what I've experienced, that it's just a like a stepping stone for a lot of people, a lot of initiation for people coming into their spiritualities, and what the possibilities that they have within this vessel, or that we find ourselves in. So for me, it's just a like I said, it's part of the clues that have been left, that I see every round within synchronicities, whether it's seeing 111333, things of that nature, or whether it's which I think I hear other shows called Sam. We're using the Pandora, the music feature, to kind of ask questions, almost somewhat like an using, like telling cards, so to speak, but using it in that aspect. So trying to just see what's possible and what we can manipulate, hack, in other words. Some people might resonate with that better. This construct we find ourselves in.
Okay, thanks, Captain. Thanks, Offer. And hello, Bob. Welcome. Do we do a sound check? Introduce yourself to the audience.
Hello, I'm Bob.
Thank you. This is Bob. What's your favourite theory, or the one you subscribe to most about the Mandela effect?
Well, you can't just pick one. There's so many. Well, because you don't have to. It could be HARP frequencies messing with consciousness. It could be CERN, D-Wave. It inclines to go towards CERN and D-Wave because D-Wave is programmed in English, and most of the changes seem to be happening in English. Where the lexicon of the field which the computer is closest to, the quantum computer, is operating at near absolute zero, which is separating itself from what they call the field. And that's the same morphogenic field that you have been introducing us to, which I think is a very cool concept. And I believe that is what's connected to the Mandela effect. I think it's a celestial event. I don't think it's supernatural, but it happens so infrequently it seems supernatural. There's several evidence in the historical records of macroevolution where species were first to adapt drastically within 1 or 2 generations. We're looking at the children that are coming in already activated, doing most incredible tasks effortlessly. Yes, the parents have put the effort in, but it's showing that we are entering a new paradigm, and these new humans will also have new tools to work with. So as far as manifestation goes, Mandela effect, the secret type of drawing things through, I believe, are connected to that morphogenic field, where you can end up giving a directional intention for the best of mankind. I watched a really interesting skit on somebody who they had to make certain wishes and pass an object along. It was like a bad horror movie. The interesting part was when it came time to collect the debts, the collector said not a single human has ever wished for betterment of humanity. Everybody wished something for themselves. And right now we're in the same paradigm of wanting to be service to others, except it seems to be more of a touting, a trumpet being blurred instead of action. And this is how I ended up meeting Amber with Ubuntu and wanting to get involved. And there's young ones like Sapoi who are very proactive of driving change and being change agents. This is absolutely a positive indication that we're moving towards the right direction. We are getting to a point where the technologies that are being built in parallel that are going to be complementing each other grow at an exponential rate. And significant disruptive technologies with robotics, 3D printing, nano space exploration, the workforce is going to change from anything that's labor intensive for it to become creative, and in connecting with both nature and fellowship and community, to be part of something that is bigger than ourselves, with a connection that you are in contact with on a daily basis, progressive with different people going towards a similar goal, without it being driven at you to perform, to hit certain targets. You become more task oriented. So I've kind of gone on a big loop, and that's what my theory is that we needed to get some sort of alarm to alert us. And I believe, again, it's celestial, that is beyond man and the physical realm. And as I said, it's a natural event that happens very infrequently. And we're extremely fortunate to be able to be on this planet during this time. This is the best show in the universe right now.
It is. And we're all the lucky participants.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that completely. Okay, to the audience who are watching, the viewers, if you've got a question, you'd like me to post to the panel, do you want to post it now? And let me see if there isn't any there already. Yeah, I noticed some people talking already about morphogenic fields in chat. I wanted to wait until Hidden Philosopher joins us. He can't come on right now. He's going to join us, I think, in the next less than half an hour, I believe. He's another UK Mandela affected, and who's been researching morphogenic fields, as I have. So I wanted to introduce the topic then and talk about them because I think it's very relevant to the Mandela effect. But in the meantime, before he gets here, has anyone got... oh, Dennis Barker, are you Hidden Philosopher? Can you say in chat whether you are?
Not so hidden anymore.
I can't hear you, Bob. Oh, not hidden anymore. No, thank you. Okay, Dennis, thanks. Okay, so Hidden Philosopher won't be joining us. He's got tech issues, unfortunately. Okay, so I'll introduce the topic and what I've learned about it and see what you guys all think of it. Right, so I've been watching some YouTube videos of talks by a biologist called Dr. Rupert Sheldrake. He's a British biologist and he was a Don at Cambridge University, which, for those who don't know, is one of the two most prestigious universities in the UK. And he was a Don there for many years. And he developed a theory quite a long time ago, he says. And I'll put the link in the description after this. But if you go into YouTube and just put in Sheldrake and Russell Brand, there's a recent interview by Russell Brand, Under the Skin interview with him, and he explains his history. But basically, he developed a theory a while ago, but because it was very controversial, he's only recently published it. But he spent most of his career researching things like telepathy and psychic phenomena between human to human and animal to human and vice versa. And he's gathered a lot of data over the years on these phenomena. He's a Christian, so he was never somebody who didn't believe that there was more than just this material reality. But the theory that he's presented, he calls, I think it's the morphogenic field theory. And this is how he explained it in simple terms. Everything that is alike is connected by a morphogenic field. So an example, and this has been shown to occur, imagine in a lab, scientists create a new form of crystal, one that's never been created before. And let's say, for argument's sake, it takes about, the first time they create it is, say, for example, it'll take 7 days in order for that crystal to work out what its structure is going to be. So its final crystalline form, say 7 days. I'm just making this up as an example to illustrate the point. Now, in another lab somewhere else in the world, somebody else decides to make the same type of new crystal using the ingredients. And now that one might take 6 days before it forms its final form. And then each time another lab in the world decides they're going to create this new form of crystalline material, it takes less and less time before the crystal forms, its final version and form forms. And this has been shown to occur. And he argues that everything, whether it's consciously aware or not, is connected by what he calls a morphogenic form, so that each one learns its final form it should take from the previous version. Now, in a biological individual, for example, a human, the way this works is when a mother becomes pregnant, the embryo learns what final form it should take, i.e. human shape, from the morphogenic field of its mother, rather than, he argues, genetics. Because, as he argues, a protein is the same in a human as in another organism, very often. You know, the proteins, the genes, they're basically the same. And he argues that it's this morphogenic field which informs the final form of the life form or object. Now, this can be the other application for morphogenic fields is that everybody within a community, now whether that community is the people who live with you, including the animals, or whether the community is the wider community, even a country, a nation, a racial group, we're all connected to all of these different communities via morphogenic fields. Because everyone who's descended from one individual will have the morphogenic field or carry the morphogenic field of that original ancestor. So we have lots of morphogenic fields. And this can be demonstrated on a species-wide level. For example, if you were to teach a rat in London a new trick, a new skill, then that learned skill would spontaneously start appearing in rat populations elsewhere on the planet without them being taught it. And that is what has been observed to happen. And he argues that this is a telepathic communication via morphogenic fields because they're all one type of thing. They're all rats, so they're all connected by the rat morphogenic field. So they can transmit information that way. And obviously the rat colony in London has another morphogenic field of their smaller group, so that smaller group picks up that information quicker before the wider population, worldwide population. Now, this to me, I'll just say actually before I forget, if any of you have seen the recent film called Annihilation, they actually feature this theory in that film, in one part of the film. If you've seen it, when they're in this forest where everything's changing, you'll see plants, flowers growing in the shape of humans. And I remember that the characters talk in the film, say it's because of the morphogenic field. They're picking up the morphogenic field of the deceased human that was stood there and growing in that morphogenic field. Now, he also says in this theory that when we see reality, our brains or our souls, or our third eye, whichever it is, it views the morphogenic field of objects and then presents us with a solid 3D picture of that object. So we don't perceive the morphogenic field unless you see energy and always, then you're going to start picking up the morphogenic fields of these objects. But he also says that the fact that we observe that object is having an effect on it. So when I'm looking at my keyboard, what's happening is my brain is picking up the information of the morphogenic field of that keyboard. And then it's presenting me with this image of my keyboard. But simply me observing that keyboard is having an effect on it. Now, the way I believe that this would relate to the Mandela effect is that, imagine, for argument's sake, 100 years ago. Yeah, watch Derry, an interesting movie. Yeah, Derry and Chats, it's an interesting movie, for sure it was. So imagine 100 years ago, one person was born with an enhanced ability to affect physical reality with their observation. Now, what would then happen is that individual, as other people who are morphogenically connected to that individual, spent time with that person, the the information of that enhanced ability would be spread via that morphogenic field, or you could say it's telepathy, it's the same thing, to the people that share a morphogenic field with them, the closest first. So over time, this enhanced ability would spread from person to person to person. And as time went on, that increase would be an exponential increase, which would explain why many people have been very aware of the Mandela Effect and changing reality for a long time. But especially recently, the rate of increase of those aware of it and actually manifesting, affecting reality themselves, has increased exponentially. So you can imagine there's 8 billion people in the world or more, how long it would take for this to spread morphogenically from one person to all through those 8 billion. It would be a very long time. Because not everyone, I argue, would automatically start practicing this ability. There might be more to it, but their morphogenic field may change to give them that capability. Then it might take time or some other catalyst for them to start practicing it. And it can also spread this way. Say I walked down the street and I looked at a sign, a logo over a shop, a well-known brand, and I had this ability. And because I misremembered that brand and how it looked, when I observed it, I changed it. Now, to me, it looks normal because I misremembered how it used to look. But the next person who comes along and looks at that changed sign, they are going to see it and think, for example, oh, I thought it was different. I must have been wrong. And now if they have this ability, when they look at another sign of the same logo, they will change it to match the one they've just seen automatically. And so it spreads that way as well. And Rupert Sheldrake argues that this is the morphogenic field allows change to occur. And for example, that when they started bringing out IQ tests, there was an average score for each population. But what they found all the time people have been taking these IQ tests is the average score has increased. Now that's not because people become more intelligent, it's because they have learnt the skill of how to pass the test with a higher score. And this has been learnt and spread telepathically or morphogenically through populations. So this is another example of learned skills being passed, disseminated through individuals of the same group. So I think that explains the Mandela Effect and what's occurring. Somebody jump in, whoever wants to jump in, and say what you think about that. Or not.
I definitely believe it's us creating the Mandela Effect. Through our subconscious, if you will. Some people might say higher self, things of that nature, whatever it may be. But I believe our manifestation abilities is what's actually creating the Mandela Effect. Metaphysics, I'm not schooled in the metaphysics, so I can't really respond to that. I could just respond to my my experiences. And so, like I said, I believe we are creating it collectively, as a group. And now a lot of us becoming awakened, as the term is be called, kind of detaching from the control system, um, where it puts that manifestation and control into the hands of a selective few by manipulation. And as we break free of that manipulation slowly, in a way that we all can handle individually, then what we can create in this construct, I believe, personally, can be beyond beauty. We know what beauty is because we know what ugly is, and believe we discussed this, all of us in Discord previously. Um, you don't know hot unless you experience cold. So I know we've discussed, and I do believe this is one of the reasons why we are going through some of these experiences and some of the hardships that we go through, so we kind of can digest that as well, whether it's just say an experiment for our another being, say an avatar coming down here to experience this, or if it's something just as say fun or a game, or if it's something that is very crucial to the universe as a whole. Either way, we're here, and I see the breadcrumbs, so I'm following.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks for that. What do you think, Bob?
It's nothing new. It's just having a revisit, like a reboot of the new movies. Different set of eyes, having different interests. They're not swayed by the material interest. I think that was necessary for it to get to a critical mass. When I was born, there was like around 3 billion people on the planet, and now there's a 7.3 billion. That's like in half a century. That's a big change. It has equalized birth rates. They think at around 11 to 12 billion is going to settle off. With that type of a population, the potential of impacting this field is going to be tremendous. Right now, what is being broadcasted through the media, and that's what the media influences, is this energetic field, where they say they get people in low vibration. When you're in low vibration, you don't see hope. Without hope, there is no motivation to struggle, to push on, even if the hope is for generations to come. So when you take hope away from people, that's a very easy way to control them. There is no secret agenda. It's something as simple as that, where they make people give up. You start entering a system where if you play by the rules, you're never going to win. So you have to get, I'm not saying always, but a lot of times to face temptation of corruption. And when corruption starts getting into the picture, you have compromised your own integrity, who you are, what you stand for. And our reputation is the most valuable asset we have, because with a good reputation, you'll be able to reestablish yourself through your network, through help from other people. But if you have alienated people away and burned bridges, which if you look at wealthy people, they're getting bunkers and bulletproof this and bulletproof that, and spending money on security, anti-kidnapping, all sorts of rich people problems crop up when you get to that echelon. So there's nobody that is problem free. All sorts of rich people problems crop up when you get to that echelon. So there's nobody that.
Thanks, Bob. Thank you. And I just want to say thanks, Martin, in chat, for complimenting my fish tank. If you want to know what this here is, by the way, this is a piece of wood. Okay, I bought a new fish, and they told me it needs a piece of wood to grind its teeth. So I spent a fortune on not on that piece of wood from the fish shop, because it looked a really nice piece of wood, and it'd be a nice centerpiece. So the problem is it floats. It doesn't sink. So I'm hoping that just laying it in the fish tank, maybe it's got to absorb water and it'll start to sink the next day or two. If not, I'll be going back to the fish shop and saying, what's the point in telling me this? It doesn't sink. So anyway, I don't know. It will look nice when it's actually put down in the fish tank. Anyway, thanks, Bob. Does anybody else want to comment on what I was talking about, or what Bob has talked about, or anybody has talked about?
Ja. Wie zijn niet naast mislukt?
Master Willie, I'm sorry.
Correct.
I need you to unmute in Discord at the same time, please.
One word. Somebody, please tell Mel that my Discord is playing up again. Be right back.
Yeah, Discord is playing up with him a little bit, so he's having some technical difficulty. So he's gonna try to take care of that real quick.
Yeah, Mel, I'd like to add something to
Thank
what
you.
Bob said. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I'm not real familiar with this term, and I haven't watched, nor did I get the meditation the last time. But I still think it's an internal saying. And I do agree. I seen someone in chat had said they had felt a calling through an eclipse in '99, and I agree with that. I think that there's certain dates. I don't really like dates, but I do think there's surges of these waves of an awakening. That's what I mean. I think we're awakening constantly, but I think we get these big waves all of a sudden. And maybe not everybody, but I think the majority, we seem to discuss it and we feel it. And it sounded to me like you were describing what I could get from it and not knowing that much about it. It was almost like a domino effect. And I would kind of agree with that, because I think when we're back in fellowship sharing, we actually probably manifest a lot of these waves on our own. I think when someone is at a low energy, we bring them up to the high energy. If I'm at a low energy, you guys have brought me up many times. I think that works in tandem and in unity fellowship. So that's about all I wanted to add, though. But I still see whatever term we use, and nothing wrong with that term. But to me, it's still a calling. There's a reason we're all back here. There's certain familiarities, be it paranormal, spiritual awakening. A lot of Christians waiting the rapture, or just seem to draw like-minded people together for no matter what reason. I think it's an internal one. And that's my opinion.
About the changes, I observed something that looks like out of a game. So, and it's also linked to the so-called great filters, which explain why we can't see any aliens. So, a civilization will in time unlock certain, let's call them certain, how should I call them? Anyway, certain things, like we discovered terracotta and became able to create pottery, to create bricks, and so on. Then we discovered cement and became able to create things. And then we discovered metal, copper, then bronze. Well, I think the order is wrong, but anyway, you get the point. So as a civilization grows and becomes more powerful, that's one way to describe it, then it will have to either evolve or face a so-called tech reset, in which the society collapses and there's no going back for quite a while. Like a backlash, when you are trying to break through to the next level, if it fails, you are going back to a lower level. The same seems to be working for civilizations like the humans. Right now seem to be trying to break through to the next level of humanity as a species, as a meta entity, which in terms comes with a lot of risks. So we are now getting some people are getting glimpses of sometimes technology, other times ways of behaving, essentially information and possibly wisdom, which has to be put together like a puzzle in order for our civilization to level up to the next level. But because we are so focused on nothing as a whole, we are unable to change anything. Therefore, we might need to create groups of interests and link those groups together towards certain goals. For example, there is permaculture, there is minimalism, there is witchcraft, there is I don't know, there are a lot of things. There are groups which try to use technology which we are not supposed to have according to the mainstream science. Why not put all of those things together and bundle them into something isolated from the rest? For example, if a company uses technology which should not exist but doesn't reveal it to the public, I mean, it doesn't sells it, it just uses it, then it becomes beneficiary. If that technology makes a village have much better health and I don't know, and the plants a lot healthier, then the permaculture would also benefit. If that thing, let's call it forbidden tech for a while, that forbidden tech is used for eliminating a lot of the necessities that village or a city might have, then that also helps the minimalists, and so on and so forth. So if we find those things which help as many groups as possible and get those people together in spite of their differences to focus on one thing alone, one thing which will benefit everybody, then why are we not doing that? I mean, there's also the problem with why aren't aliens contacting us? Well, look at us. We have so much potential and we're doing nothing with it. We are wasting our potential away. How do you expect beings which we could see on the same level as God or as gods? How do you expect gods to take us seriously if we don't take them seriously? If we just joke around and make our own lives miserable? We are no more than just kids playing around and creating a lot of pain in the process. If we cannot at least get rid of the pain and work together, How do you expect anyone to take us seriously? How do you expect anyone to want to help us? How would you expect ourselves to want to help one another if we as individuals are not doing anything to help the whole? I mean, what reason do people have to be part of a city? I mean, any city has jobs, any city has health, any city has transportation. But what about the community, the like-minded people, the technological breakthroughs, I don't know. For example, cars. If you don't want so many cars on the road, why don't you build an entire city focused around driving bikes? And since you can put a roof on a bike and maybe give it 3 wheels to be a lot more stable, you can also park it because it has 3 wheels. You can drive it around. It's not raining, it's not snowing on you. The wind is not that big of a problem. So it looks like a lot of good reasons to create such a city, yet nobody's doing anything like that.
They are though, Support. I would argue that it's about your perception. I used to be the same as you, and Bob will tell you, and other people, guys here who knew me, a year ago, I was the same as you. I used to come onto Discord, or why aren't we doing anything? Why aren't people doing anything? The thing is, that's a perception, and when you stop having that perception and looking, you'll see there is an awful lot that's being done around the world. There are cities that are being produced and built up where cars aren't allowed, for example. There are many different companies producing technologies that are better. For example, water turbines and solar panel trees and turbine trees. There are many different technologies that are being created and perfected, such as charging water and vortex water and using energetic and other natural means of purifying water. There are perpetual generators. There are people working on free energy. There is a lot that's being done. But I would also argue that simply working on yourself is the first port of call for everybody. If you cannot change the world to be a better place unless you change yourself to be a better person first, for 2 reasons. One is because if you are looking at the world as in the perspective that your glass is half empty, that there's more darkness than light, then that is the energy frequency you're giving out, the type of people and the type of reality you're going to be drawing to you. So you need to give out the opposite of that, the optimistic, the hopeful, the energy of it. You love this life, and you may not love everything in it, but you love the earth and it's unconditional love without judgment, and you will find that things will change for you. However, and also on top of that, because we are all connected by consciousness, if you want to change the attitudes of the people around you, the people you know well, your family, your friends, and this won't work for everybody and might take longer for each person, but the only way for you to do that is to change your consciousness to change theirs. There was no point going to family and friends and saying, why aren't you doing anything? Can't you see what's going on in the world? Wake up, wake up. Because I tried that. It doesn't work. What it does is it pushes people further away from you because they think you're a nutter. So it doesn't work. And then they get fed up because you're on and on and on and on about things. And people don't want to speak to you. They want to push you away. You have to lead by example. So show them a better way to be. And because we are manifestors, because we are Mandela affected, so we carry this ability to change our reality, and whatever that means and whatever mechanism by which that works, we are changing our reality. Because we can do this, then the people around us who are in a more negative mindset, it's like we have a stronger battery. So they will entrain their energy signals towards ours. So the more time you spend around people, the more positive and optimistic and happy and forgiving they become. And I'm not saying this will work for everybody. And I'm not saying it will happen overnight. But it will happen for the majority of people. You have to lead by example. What do you think about that, Sepoy?
I agree, and there's also the point that you cannot help anybody if you're not good enough. So if you want to change the world, you have to change yourself to be able to change the world. You have to become more powerful, more dangerous for your enemies, and so on. And there are a lot of ways to change things. You don't have to quit your job and go in the mountains and build things. You can start by just talking with people, showing them ideas of what's possible, because you might have people who want to quit their life, so to speak, and reset their world. And now that they want to change their life, but they don't know how. They don't know the things that they would need in order to do in order to change their lives. They don't have the opportunities. And there's also the possibility that we're how do I put this? We are lost. We try to change the world, but we forget often that we don't have to leave everything behind. Like the difference between a jack of all trades and a multi-potentialized polymath. The difference between a jack of all trades and a polymath is that the polymath keeps all the previous knowledge intact. So, for example, if I go from computer science to agriculture, I may decide to use a computer to drive a tractor to do all the stuff for me without me being physically there. So I can do alone the work of 100 people without employing those 100 people. There is one way. In the meanwhile, the jack of all trades might know that it is possible, but would not do it because it leaves everything behind. It does not connect the dots. So resetting your own life will not be successful unless you keep everything together and you keep adding new things always, forever.
I understand. Sorry, I thought you finished.
Please.
I understand your perspective and your mindset, but respectfully, I do disagree. Anybody can change their life simply by changing how they think about their life. It's again this matter of glass half full or glass half empty. And I know what's going through some people's thoughts. Well, that's all right for you to say. You live in the UK. What if you were a street child living in, I don't know, somewhere? But you can still change your life by changing how you think about your life and how you think about yourself. Now, when I've been to Africa a few times in my younger years, and this is an example I'd like to illustrate on this. When I visited Gambia and I traveled to see the indigenous communities who were living in the ancient ways, they were literally living in mud huts. I remember a guide I got to know because I've been there a few times. I didn't go by the official tour guides because, you know, I just went, I hired a local taxi driver to take me around, you know, not to see the school, etc., that the tour guides take you. I wanted to see the real schools in the area, the real villages in the area. So the guy who took me around for that day, and I went to see a local school and various different places. All day he was going on and on and on because he was so happy and so excited because he had just acquired a generator. Now, all day he was telling us how he is the only person in his village who has a generator, and he is now considered the richest man in the village. And he was so proud of his generator, and he invited me and the person I was with back to his village for tea, to see his home and see his generator. So we agreed to go. So we went back to the village, and I remember being quite shocked. He actually lived in literally a mud hut, a one-story mud hut with 2 rooms. And in one room was their living room, and the other room was a bedroom. And it was him, his wife, and I think at least 2 children. They're all sharing what you walk into the bedroom. The only thing in the bedroom is a low bed. That's it for all of them. And in the living room, I think there was only 2 or 3 chairs, somewhere to sit. And, you know, they cooked outside, etc. And we went outside and we had a look at this generator. And he was so proud. He was the richest man in his village. And he was exuberating joy and happiness all day. And he worked in the tourist industry. So that was his job. He took around rich foreign clients all the time. He worked where all the hotels, etc. was. So he could see the difference in lifestyles and standard of living. But he was still really happy. And when I saw in other villages that, you know, the people were living in reed huts, etc., you know, they were all so happy, all of them, all so happy, because I went to Gambia, I went to Senegal. When I went to Cape Town, that was a completely different story. We went to visit, I think it's Soweto. It's basically the slums in Cape Town. Now, the people there were wealthier by far than the other communities I'd seen in Senegal and Gambia, but they were miserable. And the only difference was because they lived in a rich city. So they saw firsthand, they could literally walk out the doorway of their hut, look up and see the rich flats, literally side by side. They knew and understood how poor they were, and they were miserable. So that demonstrated to me it is about perception and mindset and how you view your life. And it doesn't mean that you have to be miserable. It's how you appreciate your life. Anybody can change their life simply by that. And by changing how they feel and how they think, it will literally manifest and change in their physical reality, because they'll draw different kinds of people to them with different opportunities and different aid and different support. So my argument is anybody can change their reality. What do the rest of you guys? Okay, brilliant. Just going to bring in some of the other panelists. Oh, right, quickly, go on, respond to that, and I'll bring somebody else.
One more thing. The way you think is not the only thing that makes a difference. You also have to act. For example, that person had the generator because he acted about it, but he could use that money to buy, I don't know, more food, better clothes, a better house, and so on. So just changing the way you think might not be enough for everybody, or it might take too much time, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but until you change the way you think, your life isn't really going to get much better.
I agree.
That is what I'm saying. Is that's the first, you know. And I know if you're miserable, if you are depressed, it doesn't matter how rich you are. It doesn't matter how much money you've got. It doesn't matter how great your family is. It really doesn't matter. You're still depressed, and that is a mindset. And I've been through depression most of my adult life, so I understand that I'm saying. It doesn't matter how rich you are. If you're depressed, it is the way you look at life. And I'm not saying it's the only thing. There are biochemical causes for depression. There are. Absolutely. But the effect of it is, it doesn't matter how rich you are, how wealthy you are compared to other people in the world, and even the people around you, you will still feel depressed. And that is how you view life. It's like that saying, you can be in a room full of people and still feel lonely. So I agree with you, it takes action as well, but it's very hard to physically change your life unless you change how you think about it in the first place. I just want to pull other people in to talk about this. If anyone's got anything to say, if you've got anything you would like to jump in on this topic about, feel free to jump in.
Last thing, so it's like 2 steps. The first is changing your mentality, and the second is taking action. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Anybody else want to jump in on this?
Hey. Hey.
Hello, Lee.
Hello.
What would you like to say about this?
I had to remember to click both off the microphone and the...
You'll get used to it.
Oh gosh. I kind of found that interesting, you guys going into into this realm of your thought patterns and the choices you make. And hang on, let me put my my thing on, because then
I'm going to put mine off because I'm going to make a coffee, but I'm still listening to you. I'll take my phone with me.
okay. Well, anyway, I'll take it away. Actually, the whole thing about patterns and recognizing those patterns and actually transferring those patterns into other things. I don't even know what I'm talking about. I've experienced depression and anxiety quite a lot in my past, and it suddenly came to me a couple of years back now, I guess, that it was about a choice, and the choice was to be aware of the thoughts in my head and what they were doing as a recourse to actually changing them. And getting to that point, it's kind of almost, it's like if you could imagine a microscope, and what you're doing, your everyday life, the pace at which you go, the way that you experience reality, that is like that's your like framework. But then what you've got to do is then imagine the microscope going deeper into the, to the Planck length of everything, right? So you've got that tiny, minute, almost infinitesimally small measurement, and at that point, that is the point we start, and then we have to look forward, and almost like in anticipation of ourselves,
Expand our awareness.
Yeah. So it's kind of, it's hard to explain, but I'm trying to articulate it. It's like you have to kind of almost stop time in your mind long enough for you to narrow down to the very essence of the original thought, and then that's when you can kind of then observe it, and you're observing it, and you're looking at that thought, and you're going, right, is this going to be a negative thought, or is this going to be a positive thought? and you can go, okay, well, I don't want this to be a negative thought, because that negative thought pattern actually takes me into a spiral, and I know those patterns now. I know those spirals. I know that that's a pattern of behavior that I find myself being swallowed into. And then Willie keeps asking me strange questions in the private text bit thing, and it's throwing me off. So yeah, that's kind of how I look at it now. But thing is, it does take a great deal of time and effort and self-work and you know, just a lot of work and stuff, basically, in yourself to get to the point where you realize that. And the thing is, even when you do realize that, it doesn't change the fact that there are still things happening, and you're still going to be having these three-dimensional things happening, because whilst you're in a multi-dimensional position, it's not going to change the fact that there are about 1 million other dimensions happening at the same time as you are. So you have to kind of, in order to be able to perceive it, you need to kind of get your mind into there first. You know, get your, well, mind's not the right word, consciousness there first. It's just, am I making sense, or am I just talking complete aphasia, right?
No. Hey, Michelle. No, oh, I understand you, Lee. I understand what you're saying. Hey, Michelle. What do you think about this? Sorry, Lee. Do you want to carry on, Lee? Sorry.
No. I just want to. I need a break because my food might be arriving soon. Dinner, so I have to order out.
Okay. All right. What do you think, Michelle?
He's like, wink, wink, order out. Are you talking about the morphogenic field, or I've been trying to.
Yes, anything.
Well,
anything you've been want to talk about?
The energetic exchange. It's like a dance that we're doing together, and yeah, I do think that you will draw to you the people that are you know, resonating with you. It's almost like you know, like a musical instrument. You're setting out a certain tone, and then people that will resonate with that tone will come, and they'll be drawn to you, and you'll be drawn to them. You know, so whatever tone that you're setting out, you know, like brings like. So you will draw to yourself. So if you're, you know, let's say into conspiracy theories and everything that everybody does is important, because everything that everybody does helps put this like grand puzzle, this grand riddle together. And so you're into conspiracy theory type thing, and they're actually taking these events that are broadcasted over the news to all the people, so that we will use our creative potential to create whatever they're trying to broadcast over us. Well, these people with the conspiracy theories, they're taking those broadcasts and pulling them apart by, you know, this is like a Hollywood production they just put out in front of you for you to consume and then magnify out around you. So in, you know, the journey that I'm walking, I'm learning to anything that makes me feel little, you know, or it's such a huge problem that there's like really not much I could do about it, or that minimalizes each of us. I'm stepping back away from those kind of things. And I 100% agree with what you said about, if you want change, the change has to come from within yourself first. Don't think that you're going to point at somebody else and say, this is wrong with you, that's wrong with you, blah, blah, and be all judgmental. And that's going to prompt them to say, yeah, I'm going to change just because you told me to. No, what that does is people will actually recoil from that. They'll pull away from you. So any kind of change that you want to see has to start within yourself. And then what you'll see is, as you're broadcasting yourself out at that different tone and that musical instrument, you will attract other people with that similar tone. It's just a beautiful dance we're all doing. And hey, everybody, I hope you guys are having a good afternoon or evening, depending on what side of the world you're on. Thanks for allowing me. I know Dark Wolf's supposed to be in here, but you know, I gave him, you know, good 20 minutes, but I'm sure he's coming because he put something up. So,
Yeah, I'm sure he will. I know he was having technical issues earlier. He had to charge his phones, etc. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I thought what I do next, unless has anybody got anything they'd like to add on this topic? Anything they'd like to say? Nope. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to offer, first of all, does anybody who is watching, would anybody like me to draw them a tarot card? While I'm waiting to see if anyone would like that, I'm going to draw some cards for.
Okay.
Does
Yeah.
anybody here on the panel, would you like to have a reading?
Yeah, if you like to, Mel, go ahead, please.
Okay. You as well, Willie. Okay.
You.
Captain, sorry. It's not coming out easy for you, Willie. Taking its time to pick one. Okay.
Please having dinner right now.
Okay, your oracle card, Willie, is Protect the Wild and Green. And this card is like the kind of energy that the tarot card is going to be about. And what it's basically saying is return to nature. Look to nature, to reconnect with nature. The oracle card. Oh. I've got 2 tarot that's dropped out for you.
Mm-hmm.
They're both earth cards, so that matches the oracle card. It's an earth energy that's coming up for you. First one. So 4 of earth. It says tedium and monotony often instill a desire to rush. Do not allow the desire to be free, to move on to new ventures, to result in careless errors, or prevent you from completing a task or resolving an issue that you have before you. You might find yourself free of boredom and impatience, only to feel the weightier burden of guilt and regret. Whether it be a matter that affects home and hearth, or one that affects your career, do not allow impatience and frustration to cloud your judgment and lead to hasty decisions. The shadow 4 of earth, because yours is upside down, cautions you against embracing a belief that greener pastures are waiting if you choose to walk away. In this circumstance, they are not. And then the next one is the 5 of earth. When the 5 of earth card appears, awareness is of key importance. Something is not right. Someone is not as they seem. Someone lies and deceives, and that someone could be you. Could it be that you are lying to yourself and those around you? It might not be a deliberate deception, but it is a deception nonetheless. The 5 of Earth can also symbolize the devil inside, who encourages you to take the easy way out, to look for options that lead to instant gratification, instead of putting in the hard work that yields enduring success. Is his voice in your head and heart, inspiring you to risk everything for the chance of a quick buck or a monetary thrill? Think twice. If you choose to take a gamble now, you risk losing it all. This trickster is the beautiful con man, whose sweet words encourage you to believe your own lies and deceptions. He caters to your weaknesses and addictions, dealing out easy lies instead of hard truths. He tells you to blame others for all that is wrong, disappointments, heartache, past failures and missed opportunities, instead of taking responsibility for your own choices and actions. Wherever the deception lays at this time, there may be some basis for your doubts and questions. Your inner voice is telling you to look closer and see beyond selfish desires and blame so you can perceive the truth. Be honest with yourself, or heartache and disappointment may well follow.
Okay, point taken. Thanks.
And Captain would like one. Let's do off Captain. Okay, Dennis. Thanks, Michelle. Michelle just told me Dennis wants one as well, so I'll just do Captain and then Dennis. We've got 2 Oracle cards for you, Captain, which are Hear the Ancient Ones and Embrace the Dark. So I know this is Hear the Ancient Ones is about listening to more the previous cultures, the knowledge of the past. And Embrace the Dark says to me there's something about the darker aspect of ancient cultures and ideologies and knowledge that you need, that is significant for you at this time. Let me see what the tarot is saying. So we've got 2 tarot. First one is an air card, which is the 11 of air. Sorry, the 9 of air. Okay, the 9 of air represents the imagination and our connection to the universal consciousness or universal mind. It signifies the importance of knowing thyself, for in truly knowing thyself, one will know both the universe and the power of the void. Ask yourself, what if the universe we dwell within is actually the mind of another being? What if the universe is, in reality, a God mind, and we the creation of another being's imagination? What if, within our minds, there exist universes within universes, where creatures that we dream of and imagine dwell in the same way we do here upon the earth, and within their minds are more universes? Like fractals, where the same pattern repeats and creates, our minds contain a universe, and within that universe are creatures and beings who have also universes within their minds. The universe in which we dwell is one of billions existing within the mind that is yet another universe. The pattern repeats in both directions exponentially, creating an infinite number of universes and realities. Now ponder a moment. What if we looked within and discovered that within the realms of our minds, we create new worlds and realities with our belief? We choose to believe in something, and a new world that mirrors that belief is born. We stop believing in something, and that world either evolves with our beliefs or ceases to be completely. Universes overlap, are born and die, forever bound to the life and beliefs of the God mind that created them. What if billions of lives were dependent upon our belief of their very existence? Would it not be wise to believe with understanding and knowledge? Would that not create a universe that is a little more constant and conducive to life? What if we are the only beings within this universe because the God mind in which we dwell is a young mind with limited exposure and at this time only believes in our existence? Pythagoras is credited with saying, "Man, know thyself, and you will know the universe in which gods dwell." Simply put, he believed that to know oneself was to know the universe and the power of the gods, and he is correct. Everything man has within our physical reality that is not born of the natural world was first imagined by man. The television, the phone, the laptop, the movies, the cars, everything that man has created was first imagined by their inventor. Moreover, when those brave souls voiced their desire to create their new and strange contraptions, they were seen as crazy, eccentric, and foolish. They were told that what they wanted to create was fantasy. At one time or another, everything we have in our present reality was once deemed to be an impossible fantasy, and yet now these things exist and we take their existence for granted. This is the power of the mind, and the mind's true potential has not yet even begun to be understood or known. All we do know is that the only limit to the mind and what it can do is one that we, the individual, place upon it. We are only limited by our imagination, or lack of it. By looking within, learning and understanding the mind and the complex manner in which it controls our lives, and how it has taken our life experiences and used them to influence all we do and all that we are, we can choose to unlearn some beliefs, change our thinking, and embrace a new, less restrictive way of thinking. You can become the God mind that you are, and within your mind you can imagine and make what you imagine into a reality. We live in a society that admires innovation and creativity, and yet, paradoxically, fears it, and at times actively seeks to destroy the desire to create. We may be exposed to teachers who punish those who ask questions and challenge the answers because they know there is a better way. We might be ridiculed by family and friends when we use our imaginations and speak of things that are deemed to be fantastical and unbelievable. But again, all that exists in our present reality was once fantasy and dwelt only in the mind. We may find we are repeatedly trained to reject creative endeavors as a waste of time and effort. The 9 of air represents the importance of knowing your mind, understanding the beliefs and thoughts that limit and restrict you, and freeing your imagination. Now it is time to embrace innovation and creation. It is time to step into the realms of the unknown and imagined, to enter the void where your imagination is most powerful, and bring what you find there to life. You are born of a universal consciousness. You are capable of greatness, but all too often you may have been punished for seeking it. Nonetheless, it is time to let go of any unconscious bias against creativity and embrace it as the expression of human power and ingenuity that it is. You are as powerful as your mind allows you to be. You are as creative as your mind allows you to be. Don't be afraid to embrace your beautiful imagination. The void in which it resides is the womb that gives birth to a universe that is teeming with life and possibilities. To imagine and create is to make divine magic. You were born of a creative universal consciousness. You were born to create. And then the next one for you, Captain. The 6 of Water reversed has a very simple message and meaning. It does not serve us well to give in to the desire to inflict hurt just because we believe someone to be deserving of it. We may feel that we are justified, but what purpose does an act of spiteful retaliation serve but to make us less and perpetuate suffering? It can also be said that it makes us energetically the same as the person who harmed us. Therefore, the Six of Water comes to caution against embracing pettiness and retaliation, regardless of the circumstances. There is always a better option than an act of spite. Anger used in this manner is rarely beneficial or healing. Instead, it perpetuates suffering. There are none who can remain untouched when cruelty is offered, both the person who inflicts it and the person it is inflicted upon will be marked by it. If revenge is desired, the best revenge we can mete out to anyone who has hurt and upset us is to remain peaceful and emotionally detached. We can choose to be kind to ourselves, to end our suffering by walking away, and investing our time and emotion in something more worthy. Does that resonate with you, Captain, or do you want me to draw the next one?
Yeah, that definitely resonates with me in a lot of different ways. Yeah, go ahead and draw the next one.
Okay. So this one is the Six of Earth. Okay, this card is all about responsibility and duty of care to family, to children, to your friends, and to humanity and Gaia herself. This card, its basic message is teach by example. Teach by word and deed, it says. Lead by example. It's a reminder. It comes to remind you that it is your responsibility to both humanity and Gaia to become the best person you can be. Help where and when you can in your local community. Teach and share your knowledge whenever possible. Lead by example and be responsible for your words and deeds within the broader community. Look out into the world and understand that we share this planet and its resources, and each of us needs to do what we can to protect the animals, forests, and oceans. All of us have a duty of care to both family and the environment. While the Six of Earth represents responsibility and duty of care overall, it can also signify that there is a matter that needs to be taken care of in the present. If this is the case, do not forget and do not delay. You happy with that? Okay. Right, Dennis. Let me take a drink first. Right, Dennis, if you have a specific question you would like, try focusing on it as I'm shuffling the cards. Okay, your oracle card is, I don't know if you can see it that well, is Honor Gaia, which is the earth upon which you dwell is more than just a rock, covered in water, stone, and dirt. The earth beneath your feet, the mountains, the forests, the rivers, lakes, oceans, and the air that you breathe are all part of the magical living entity that is Gaia. She is our eternal mother, our provider, and our home. Gaia gives us life. Without her, we would not be. Honor Gaia by seeing the truth of what she is. Honor Gaia by loving her as you love yourself. And then Okay, so your first card is knowledge, the shadow of knowledge. The knowledge card reverse represents learning gone awry. It is knowledge that is imposed, that is not factual or accurate. This is knowledge that indoctrinates. It is knowledge that does not empower, but instead subjugates and imprisons. This knowledge is founded in religion, culture, and traditions that no longer have a place in our modern world. Are you impeding your own development by blindly following what you've been told to believe? Look to what you have been taught by others and question it. There are traditions that honor and traditions that dishonor. There is knowledge that impedes and restricts, and knowledge that sets you free and empowers. The knowledge card reverse represents the necessity of learning the difference and having the courage to defy tradition and relegate old paradigms to the past. Now, my feeling is that is something that you need to work upon, or is something that's relevant to your life at the moment that needs attention. The next one is a strength. Something that's going to help you in that endeavor, which is the seneschal. The seneschal of earth symbolizes a service to king and country. The seneschal is a trusted servant who has access to and control over all within his lord's domain. He, while being of noble blood himself, is in service to and speaks for the one above him. His duties are many. He is respected by some and feared by others, for he holds the keys to both the treasury and the dungeon. He is both judge and mediator within the halls and lands of the kingdom. He upholds the law and metes out justice in the name of his lord or lady. The seneschal also controls his master's wealth, giving payment to those who are owed and collecting taxes from those who owe. The seneschal is powerful, but his power is borrowed and dependent upon his willingness to follow the orders of those above him without question. If his loyalty falters or falls under suspicion, he could lose everything, even his life. The seneschal of earth represents a person in service, not to the many, but to one. His role is multifaceted and every task is performed with care. He is the master organizer and possesses both intelligence and a quick mind. He is a person who sets aside leadership aspirations in order to be the trusted representative of the one who leads. His position places great responsibility on his shoulders, but he is committed and dedicated. The seneschal symbolizes a willingness or necessity to obey the rules or directions of those in charge and to put aside personal beliefs and opinions. This card asks that you use your personal power wisely. You have the ear and favor of those who are in a position of power. You, in turn, have the power to bring happiness or harm. What do you choose to do? And then this card is a direction of, it brings the other two cards together. So it gives you an idea of advice on how to resolve an issue that relates to the first two. And it's the Queen of Fire. The Queen of Fire is a strong and powerful woman. She is someone who is not afraid to go after that which she desires most. She is focused and determined and very optimistic. Those around her find her charismatic and engaging. Her warm and expansive nature draws people to her like moths to a flame. She is also a very primal, sensual woman. She engages her senses in all that she does. She is the type of person who will always look you in the eye, who will reach out and touch your hand and listen closely, giving you all of her attention. She savors life like it is a glass of fine wine or velvety dark chocolate. She is vibrant, alive, and unforgettable. She has the power to change your life in the moment you first meet her. Her independent nature makes her a natural leader, not a follower. Her confident and self-assured manner has her achieving all that she sets her mind to. And because she is so embracing and kind and not interested in competing with anyone, she is loved by many. A natural extrovert, she loves being the center of attention, but she also gives her attention in equal measure. When the Queen of Fire appears in your reading, she is asking you to be optimistic and positive. Now it is time to focus on the pleasures of life and enjoying what you do. Be bold and be daring. Be fearless. Now is not the time to second guess yourself or allow doubts to prevent you from acting upon an idea or plan that you know will bring positive change and growth to your life. She also suggests that you seek out a Queen of Fire type if you need help. She has a vast network of friends and associates, and she is only too happy to point you in the right direction if you are looking for aid. Don't be afraid to ask for her guidance. This Queen is the kind of person who takes just as much delight in another's success as she does in her own. The Queen of Fire symbolizes living a full life and being fully present in every moment. Live a sensory life. Stimulate your senses, all of them. Your senses are a true gift. Put them to use. So perhaps there's somebody of that personality that you know that can help you or guide you or are confident you can talk to. If not, embody that energy to be self-assured and optimistic, loving and caring. So I hope that resonated with you and you got something out of that. What? Disintegral said, does Mel know there's a reptilian in our fish tank? I don't know what he's talking about. Okay, does anybody else want a card drawn to them? Nope, okay. All right.
Could you tell me, please, the what the Wheel of Fortune position reversed means? I bought on Discord.
I can't.
Drew that.
Unfortunately, I don't have that tarot deck that's got a Wheel of Fortune in it, so I can't. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Mine is different.
Thank you.
And I don't have any others to use either. But does anybody else here have anybody that can answer that question?
I can. Sorry.
Cool, go for it, Lee.
Yeah, I've just got a mouthful of food at the moment, so I can't right now.
Okay.
Well, you want to know what the Wheel of Fortune was?
Support, yeah, you want to know what the Wheel of Fortune means. Was it reversed?
In reverse. In reverse, Lee.
Right. Right, give me a moment. I think it's referring to you to be careful of taking dangerous risks and leaving things to chance because you may come a cropper. At the same time, don't. Yeah, you need to be discerning. Basically, that's basically the Wheel of Fortune. Anything can happen, but you know, in order for your say to have any influence over that, you need that awareness on yourself to and that kind of independent sense of independence and self-determination. If you don't have that, then life just walks all over you. So Wheel of Fortune reversed. Everything that has just basically been spoken about tonight is pretty much what it's about. Of course it is. It's fortune. It's the Wheel of Fortune. It's everything. Everything and nothing.
I understand. Thank you.
My pleasure. So I'm just eating a piece of prawn toast.
Okay. Oh, you can hear me. Sorry, I had to. That's okay. I had to. While you were talking, I went to go and feed the cat, and then you stopped, and I was like, get back to the computer. Okay. Okay. So, any other topics anyone wants to talk about? because my mind's blank at the moment.
The Roman numerals on the clocks changing. Okay, the Roman numerals on the clock changing. Is this misremembrance or a Mandela effect?
Were you? I didn't catch all of that. Were you asking if the change of the Roman numerals on the clock face,
Yep.
if that's
Yeah.
quality memory or a Mandela effect?
Yeah.
Oh, for me, it's a Mandela effect. Definitely. What about the rest of you guys and gals?
For me personal, yeah, kind of. There used to be clocks where they depicted four, with 4 bars, but not as many as I see now. And I know clocks that have changed actually. I remember otherwise. So yeah, it kind of existed already, but not in these quantities. For me at least. But
I ask, Lee, does the number 4 have any relevance for you at all? And also, in terms of 4 eyes as well. 4 eyes, does that
I
have
belong
anything?
to the tree. Please.
You know, you guys, can I add something here? As he was talking about the changes in the clocks and things like that. I've also noticed that a lot of people are seeing the numeric synchronicities and the numbers are actually talking to them. And I kind of see that in the Mandela effect too, that there's personal messages for each person in these changes and the ones that resonate with them. It's like the world is now talking to us and doing a gentle wake up, you know? I kind of see it, you know, from that kind of perspective.
About the
Right.
change.
So, sorry. Go on.
So, you know how we are moving consciously in 3 dimensions, and the Holy Trinity in many religions? What if the 4 that keeps changing is a sign that we are moving from 3 dimensions to 4 dimensions in which we can be aware of our movements and so somewhat in control?
Yeah, like leveling up. That sounds
Exactly.
that's a good way of putting it. I was talking about that this place is, you know, think of it like a game, and once you figure out the certain riddles or puzzles on the one level, you level up. So it's just it's an amazing time we're living in. It's really exciting.
Yeah, and
Lee. Oh, sorry.
I know that in the past it was written like 4 eyes, and then it switched to the more recent way of IV, sorry. So maybe that past way of being written, showing up, also screams I, like in look at me, at myself, don't focus on the outside, things like that. That's all I
For
have
me,
to say.
it's the point. For me, it's the opposite. It used to be 1V for 4, and now it's 1111. And when Lee said,
That's still you.
it's
Follows your statement you said earlier about if you're going to change. The only thing that you can change is within you. So what he's saying is it's making people look back and reevaluate themselves. It totally is really in sync with what you said earlier. So it's pointing you back to your fingers pointing back to you. It's pointing back to you. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm totally understanding what you're saying, Sapoy. Good point.
Yes. Yeah, I was trying to point out. Lee said when Willie mentioned it, is 4 eyes significant? And I thought, well, that's exactly what he's talking about, the change of the numeral 4 on the clock. So I thought that was really significant that he saw that. And I know when I looked into this Mandela effect, it was, for those who are watching who don't know about it, it's Mandela Affected. He's another British Mandela Affected person who runs a YouTube channel. You can just go on Mandela Affected, you'll find it. He did some videos on this, and he found out from watchmakers that they were saying that they were all really shocked as well. They couldn't understand this at all, but they found out, it seems to be, that on, I can't remember which is which, but on male watches it's one way, on female watches it's another. Even though when you look at it online, it says that the whole system changed at the same time, and it doesn't mention there's a gender difference. So yes, it's very strange. For me though, it used to be 1V, and then it became 4 1s. Anyway.
Yeah, I used to repair clocks as a hobby for a while, so I remember the 1V. But if it was logical, why isn't 9 depicted as V with 4 1s after it? It's still
Exactly. Doesn't make sense.
and also it changed from upside down. The letters the numbers are turned around 180 degrees. Well, for me at least, the lower numbers on the clock, you could read them as you saw them, but now they all point to the middle. If you know what I mean. The bottom.
Right, that's interesting.
Yeah, the bottom side of the numerals point to the center of the clock where the dials are, and that used
And
to
that
be
doesn't make
the
sense.
lower part. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you're wearing a watch, the whole point is that you can see. You don't have to go twisting your head or your arm to see some of the numerals. You should be able to read them as you look at it, shouldn't you?
Yes, certainly the Roman ones, which could be a little bit confusing.
Yeah, definitely. For the viewers over here watching, I'd just like to point out Michelle has her own channel, and Michelle does amazingly optimistic. They make you smile. She specializes in short videos. She calls them Michelle's opinions, and she just simply talks about her opinions on various aspects of what most of us are going through and experiencing. And she does it in a very optimistic, in a very heartwarming and positive way. And if you want to smile every day, go and watch her channel. And I've actually featured it in my featured channels list, so you can find her quite easily there. And as I said before, yes, Michelle's opinions, as I said, sorry, she just reminded me on my ear. And Lee has a channel as well that I mentioned earlier, but for the viewers that are tuning in late, his channel, again, he does cloud therapy. He films and live streams the London sky every day and highlights as unusual phenomena in the clouds. It's very relaxing. Again, a really good channel to check out. Magi has a channel, and he does short videos explaining and exploring different concepts. He uses images and music to do that. So again, all these channels are in my featured list. And as far as I'm aware, do any of you others produce videos?
Well, yeah, it's on my planning, but yeah, I have 1 or 2.
Not yet.
But that's all. There's some in production, if that counts.
Okay. All right. Well, unless anyone's got anything else to add and anything else to talk about, they'd like to talk about, then perhaps we should end this live stream.
Sure. I'm I'm done for the day, I think. Thank you very much for having me on, though.
He's stuffed with his takeaway.
Oh yeah, sorry. I just said thank you, but I forgot to press the button again. I apologize, man.
Thanks for having
Okay.
me.
No, we
And
have to.
You.
she may pop back on with another Mel's Table Talk when with Dark Wolf. So you guys, stay tuned for that. He was supposed to attend this one, but some technical issues. But don't be surprised if Mel's Table Talk comes back on sometime later on this evening. So make sure you hit that reminder little bell so you get the notifications.
She's a great number 2.
Oh yeah.
I am the
Thank you.
mini-me. I am your mini-me. I'm your background person in your life story.
You really are. Thank you. Yes, it's a shame Dark Wolf couldn't get back on. So I haven't heard from him, so I don't know what's going on. So yes, if he says that he can come on later, then hopefully I can put up another stream and chat to him later on. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming, and thank you for watching. Before we go, has anyone in chat got a question they'd like to ask the panel? Don't forget, if you haven't already done so, to like, share, and subscribe. No? Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, all the panelists, for coming on. And thank you for contributing. And
Thanks,
Yeah, thanks, Mel.
thank you. Thank you. And don't forget, I will put a link to our Discord server. I will do it in chat now, and I will make sure it's in the description as well.
Namaste.
So let me just do that.
Namaste. Thank you.
Yeah,
Have a nice day, everybody.
Namaste to the.
Namaste.
Oh.
Namaste.
What does that mean?
Namaste. Have a good one.
I recognize the God in you that recognizes the God in me.
Peace.
Okay, cool. Okay, bye, everybody.
Yeah, love and light, people.
Bye bye.